Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about the things I miss about the UK. Sorry, I'm laughing because I can't actually take myself seriously when I say that because I can't believe I'm actually making this video. Just because if you know me or you know anything about me, then you know that I absolutely hated living in the UK when I did live there. We were there for about 20 months and needless to say, the transition from South Africa to the UK was not a pleasant transition for me, and I actually can't believe that there are really things that I legit miss about living in the UK. So the things are pretty much things that I either don't find here in the Netherlands where we now live, or that is just done differently. And I mean, if I could marry the two worlds would be perfect, but you know, in a perfect world. So without further ado, let's get straight into those things. Right, so I did make a few notes because, as you know, I am a serial rambler, and if I didn't make notes, we would probably be here for a very long time because I would completely get off topic and then forget what this video is actually about. I don't actually know where I wrote down the things that I miss about the UK. Oh, it's on my phone. Okay, I'm just gonna have to try and remember it. Okay, so I hate to be typical, but unfortunately, the first point or the first thing that I miss is going to be food. In case you didn't know, and I find this really, really strange, if you're Dutch and you're watching this, please explain this to me because I don't know why, but Dutch people do not eat lamb, guys. They do not eat lamb, so you don't find lamb here, like in supermarkets and things. If you're really desperate to find a little lamb chop for your barbecue or your braai, as we say in South Africa, and then it's my son. Say hello. Do you want to go down on the floor? Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. Yeah. Play with mommy's car. Like I was saying, if you're really desperate to find like a little lamb chop to throw on the barbecue, then you could probably go to the Turkish butcher and get lamb from them because the Turkish here do eat lamb, so there's that option, but you don't find it in a store. So soon after we moved here, I quickly realized that there was no lamb, and so yeah, they pretty much are fans of pork and beef, although you can't really get decent steak here or very many different cuts of steak. There are stores that sell them, but they're really, really pricey and almost not worth it. They're like teeny tiny and really expensive. So yeah, so there's those two things. You don't find lamb here or really good steak for that matter. And then second, on the food topic, is breads. The breads are really different here. You do get all sorts and different varieties, but the denseness and the texture of the bread is different than what you find in the UK. The bread here tends to be a little more airy and lightweight. Some people might find that to be a good thing, I don't know, but I personally don't like it very much. And also I miss crumpets. Oh my god, I ate crumpets for the first time when I was living in the UK. I actually really didn't know what they were, and then I bought them, and it was so nice to just toast and have with jam or butter or whatever, and you know, find them here, or at least I haven't found them yet. So that is the two things on the food. Oh my god, I forgot. Mango acha is actually a South African thing, but that I actually found in the UK at some Oriental stores or in supermarkets with international aisles. I would find them there, and they were pretty good, sort of, not alternative, but they were pretty similar to the South African one, so that was great. But yeah, those are things that I miss. I'm sure there are a few other things, but we'll be here all day and I'm going to talk about the food. So moving on to the next thing, and the next thing that I miss about the UK is motherhood related, or kind of a mommy point, and that is that facilities for kids, sort of like playgroups and things like that, there are so many more options and so many more playgroups and facilities for children in your neighborhood than I have found here. No, you can't have that. You had cake already. Okay, I'll get you a biscuit. Hold on. So I have found exactly one playgroup in the area of Dordrecht, and other than that, there really isn't much. which is kind of alarming, and I really, really miss that because as a stay-at-home mom, you obviously want to have things and activities for your kids to do. Of course, over here they have different parks and sort of outdoor playgrounds for kids, but Raphael really isn't of the age yet that he can sort of play on those because he's still too small. But yeah, I really miss sort of indoor play areas and soft play for kids, because in the UK there were just plenty of them, and a lot of them within walking distance or within a short car drive from where we lived. So I definitely missed that. And there is currently a guy sitting in his car outside looking at me for myself, which is really, really weird. Alright, so moving on to the next thing I missed about the UK, and that would be two very obvious things. I don't know if they even classify as points, but they're legit things that I missed. And I'm gonna just throw both of them in at one time. The first one being the English language, because guys, the language barrier here is not a joke. It definitely makes life a lot harder, and of course you don't learn a new language overnight. And yes, I do speak Afrikaans, but it doesn't mean that I can speak Dutch. And by the way, that's actually a video that I want to make soon, because there are a lot of South Africans or Afrikaans speaking people that actually think that because Dutch and Afrikaans is so similar, or because Afrikaans is basically a derivative of Dutch, that you can just pick it up like in a heartbeat and then off you go speaking Dutch, but it really doesn't work that way. So I definitely miss English, because I mean, pretty much the beginning of all my interactions with people here is, do you speak English? Followed by whatever it is I need to ask or say, etc. So also just dealing with general admin things and trying to query things and do shopping and things like that, it just takes longer and is a little more difficult because I don't speak Dutch. So I definitely miss being able to just speak English and being able to know what people are saying just in passing, or you know. And then the second thing is, almost forgot what it was. Oh, it's the driving. I really miss driving. In the UK I drove a lot. I could drive because with a South African license you basically just have to trade it in for a UK one, and then you can continue to drive. They drive left side of the road, right side of the car, where over here of course it's the other way around. So needless to say, I cannot use my license here. I have to redo my license, and I also pretty much have to learn kind of how to drive from scratch, because driving on the other side of the car and the other side of the road is really trippy, and it's probably not something you're going to pick up very quickly. So you're probably going to feel like a new driver or a very nervous driver for a while until you get used to, until you kind of rewire your brain to do everything the other way around. So those are definitely two things that I miss. And then the next thing that I miss is kind of misleading. Don't touch that thing. Oh my god. Don't. Sorry. So the other thing that I miss about the UK is probably going to sound a bit strange, and it's probably not 100% true, but it is something that I miss, because if you didn't know this, in the Netherlands, or at least as far as I know, and as far as I know in terms of what people have told me, it is not sort of an expected thing or a norm to have baths in departments. So of course in the UK we did have a bath, and I am a bath person. I love bathing. I love doing the whole lighting candles and putting oils in the water and all of, you know, the whole 9 yards. And of course over the last 6 months I was just not able to bath. And also having a child, it's really hard because you want them to play in the bath with their toys and have a good time. And I pretty much had to resort to bathing Raphael in a bucket in the shower. So also with winter approaching, it's usually the time where I like to bath a lot, because it is chilly outside and a bath is just nice to relax and warm up. And yeah, like I said, it is not the norm in apartments to have baths, and we do live in an apartment. Of course, there are houses and there are people who live in places that have baths. I'm not saying that you don't find baths here, period, but it's not the norm. A lot of people don't have baths, and it's perfectly acceptable, and it's not a strange thing for them. So yeah. Moving on to the next point, and another thing that I miss about living in the UK is definitely a lower cost of living, and this goes across the spectrum from food to travel to entertainment. Getting around is just so much cheaper, and I really miss that, because we don't have a car currently. We are going to get one as winter approaches, but throughout the duration of summer, I pretty much walk everywhere I want to go, or I bike, which is fine. But you know, when you want to go sort of to places that are sort of outside of a comfortable walking distance or biking distance, you kind of have to take the train, and you don't really, or you can't really pay anything less than about 10 euros more or less to go anywhere, which is really pricey when I compare it to what I was paying in the UK. I'm not going to go into details about that, but the cost of living here is definitely higher. Even childcare is more expensive. What else is there? It's just a whole range of things that I miss. So, I don't know, did we make a mistake coming here? I don't know, like for a little bit of more sunshine, and I don't know. I'm just kidding, we love it here in the Netherlands. So, yeah, so it's the cost of living. And then another thing for me personally would be just the music scene. I feel like Liverpool was like a hot spot for musicians, for gigs, for up-and-coming artists. You saw artists all the time performing in the streets, pubs and restaurants, and pretty much any place that people could sit down and have a drink was always had live music, always had a band playing, always had some kind of singer or artist or some kind of music happening. And I haven't really experienced that yet. I'm not saying that they don't have it. I did go to a place where they had live music happening, but it's not really something, it's not really their vibe. It's not really where we live at the moment. It's not really a hotspot for that kind of thing. So I definitely miss that, being a singer myself and having been in a band in my previous life in South Africa. That's something that I really enjoy, and something that I just have not seen a lot of here. So yeah, if you're a muso, then sad news for you guys. I'm going to try and reach for my phone and just see if there's anything else. Right, just going into my phone real quick to check on my memo and see what other things I maybe have missed. There we go. So I mentioned the thing about food, I mentioned play areas, I mentioned driving, baths, English, cost of living. Oh, so the other thing that I miss about the UK are their supermarkets. Supermarkets like Asda, like Sainsbury's, like M&S, you don't find sort of equivalents of that here. Supermarkets that sell food as well as homeware, as well as clothing, like the ones I just mentioned do. I don't know if it's just the area that we stay in that don't have those, or if it's in general. Again, if you're Dutch and you're watching this and I'm talking absolute hogwash, please let me know. We haven't been here that long and we haven't traveled that much, but as far as I know, you pretty much have Jumbos, Lidl's, Aldi's, Albert Heijn's, Pluses, and none of them sell things other than food type things, if you know what I'm saying. So I definitely miss being able to go into a store like M&S, which is the equivalent, by the way, of South African Woolworths. If you're South African and you're watching this and you're wondering what M&S is, it's Marks and Spencer, and it's basically the UK equivalent of Woolworths, like I said. And you know that you can go in there and get everything under one roof, and they don't have stores like that here, so I definitely miss that as well. And then I think there was one more thing on my list, and it is Nando's, and I'm not talking about the sauce. You do find the sauce, yeah. I'm talking about Nando's, the actual restaurant. In the UK, you do find Nando's, like you do in South Africa. Over here, they do not have a Nando's. Even KFCs are are stretched very far apart, so you don't really find that many KFCs here. When we lived in the UK previously, it was like a 5-minute walk from my house, which is probably a bad thing, but as well as the McDonald's, I could get there pretty easily by foot. Where over here, I think the KFC is really, really far away, so far away, I don't even know where it is, but yeah, that was just a quick one I wanted to throw in. Oh, and then the other one was cheap cars, but that kind of falls under cost of living. In the Netherlands, you can expect to pay exactly double of what you would pay in the UK for a car, so that is killer, guys. I'm pretty sure that the insurance is either the same or a little bit more expensive, but it's crazy that you can be just a short flight away from a place and just the cost of living is so different. So I'm definitely going to say that that was a huge, not shock for us, because we kind of were expecting a little bit of a difference, but of course you don't feel it in like totality until you actually live here and you realize exactly what the things are that are expensive. So yeah, there you have it, guys. I hope it wasn't too weird, and I hope that you could relate, or it made sense to some of you watching that have also lived in the UK, that maybe are British, and perhaps those are things that you miss as well about your home country, or if you were an expat living there, these might be things that you missed about the UK. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would like you to subscribe. I do a lot of videos like this. Basically expat and travel related type videos. So yeah, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the notification bell, guys, so that you are not reminded, but you are made aware when I post a video. Otherwise you might just miss it. But that's all for me until next time. I will see you in the next video. Ciao!